INFJs of the world are being told they're of a unique vibration. They don't say vibration, they say personality type. But it is a vibration because we've bought into that idea that I'm somehow special. And boy, do we go there. Brenda she'll take it out and put it on, right? That smile that says, oh yeah, let me take that one on. She actually adores it, that nature, you know, the little, she calls it the rainbow unicorn. She doesn't like it when other people do it, but, you know, she understands that it's got its limitations, and that she doesn't buy into the whole system necessarily because she doesn't study the whole system, but she understands the nature of growth and of using a system that says that we are all different in our own ways. We might have some similarities, but that I'm still part of this group and that's that group. And as long as I understand, the majority of them don't, that are using the system, this group is not better than that group. I'm different. Now, in how I present myself to the world, I was conditioned in a certain way. I take this test and lo and behold, it says I'm of this group. Okay? Now, what is it with that group that can be very disturbing? They happen to have a connection to the realms that others aren't. They're seeing things, they see the patterns, they see the results, and they take notice. We are bombarded with the stimuli around us, and we are sponges. We take it in, we process it, and we go, oh my God, I'm getting overwhelmed. Let me go back, 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 let me go back. And they put all of it into a puzzle. She doesn't want to go back to the INFJs being held higher than others. But here's the problem with someone that says that that is not actually what needs to happen. We are conditioned to feel like we are less than as children. We don't look at the world the same way. We don't behave the same way. We're often regarded as the rejects of the world. We are often held to a different standard. We hold ourselves to a different standard. We have high expectations of ourselves. We often fail in the minds of others to live up to those expectations of what a normal child is, or a typical child, because there's no such thing, and we don't want to reinforce this idea. However, in this world, when we have souls who have the capability of reaching to those higher dimensions naturally, just because they have this ability, their brains are wired different. They go into the meditative states of trance much easier. That's the difference. I'm able to take my time. I come into my own little soul. And I say, what do I see? She was like, I don't understand. I would just look at the wall, look up, look at the wall, and go into this state. I can do it. And that's the nature of why they're tapped in. They are already raising their vibration by going into a state of meditation often when they're not being bombarded with other people. If they're allowed that ability to, kind of go into their own soul, and that's what they do. They connect to soul level material that others aren't, because they start to work with their own souls at a young age. They know how to do it intuitively, because they get the answers that they seek. Now, what happens is that people don't want to hear what they observe because it's too rough for so many. That's the vision. There's more to it than that. It's a lot of growth that has to happen for an INFJ. in order for them to come into their being. Okay, we're going to say this quite loud. You can, shout to the world that you're an INFJ, but if you don't know what you're doing with your soul, you might want to sit back and listen. This is not about saying I'm better than, or we all have it. We all have these functions. They're in different spots, right? What is it that makes us unique? Do the other personality types care to know that? There's a condition in the INFJ mindset that they were not special, that they were less than. And so to find out that they are actually a beautiful expression for who they are is like a revelation. It opens up a whole new world of understanding for them. And there are people who then go, I don't think that's right for you because I don't see that in my life. And so I don't want you to feel that good about yourself. This is the nature of what people do with the INFJs. Brenda sees it herself. Other INFJs will buy into that conditioning of, yeah, I'm no better than anybody else. And it's not about being better than. It's not a better than. But it's about, let me not just, enjoy myself for who I am or the gifts that I have. Because then we kind of beat ourselves up. Oh, I can't be better than, right? I can enjoy my strengths. I can tell you where I'm at. And I utilize my strengths. I understand that everyone else has theirs, but don't deny me mine. I can't help it if you are thinking that you don't want to, shout out to the world like others do. Right? Others are allowed that. That's their personality. They get to do that. Right? INFJs are taught we're in our own world. We're introverted. We're the extroverts of the introverts, though. So we get mixed messages, and that's the nature of our soul, is to work with those mixed signals. Let's put it that way, because it's not mixed messages. It is. Too many INFJs are in the victim mindset. You're not the victims of it. You haven't come into your own being with it. If you want to use that system as your guidance system, then by all means, puff your chest and, come out. You're connected to higher dimensions, and others are not aware of that. They don't know what it is to feel that connection to otherworldly kind of experiences. And people will say, oh, there's something wrong with that. Or if you were raised in a certain way, you'll say there's something bad with that. And we lower and dim our lights because of the nature of others. So this is where Brenda was. And she was told this by her own source, that Brenda, you're lowering your light for others. You're dimming your light for others. People can't handle what I can bring through. And there are others in more authority figures kind of who've really expanded the knowledge of the Myers-Briggs, that understand how underserved the INFJ has been for so long in this world. And now we're exploding onto the scene. And what happens? Everyone wants to be one, right? They have no idea the pain and suffering that often comes with it. To be told you are less than me because what? I don't perform like a monkey in a circus? That's what people want. They want everyone to be the same. We're not all the same, by the way. You may struggle with your own ideas about who I am and where I'm supposed to be going, but my dad or my mother said, I'm sorry, that's not good enough. You're not good enough to go to college. You're not good enough to do the best that you can. We're conditioned to sit there and think less of ourselves. By golly, let the INFJ speak out to what they know is different. There is no less than, right? They're not the victims. They have to get out of that mindset and speak their minds. This country especially needs to hear from them, right? We have 2 presidents that were INFJs that we know of, and we're going to go to those. One is currently living. We will not discuss his nature other than it speaks for itself, Jimmy Carter. So, there are so many that will say, oh, well, that was not the best thing, you know. The man continues to serve his community in every way, shape possible that he can. And he's on his, deathbed, right? Not really. He's elderly, though. He's up there. And he continues to feel like, I need to serve, serve, serve. Out of the goodness of my heart. That's the INFJs. Most people don't understand. The INFJs will always come with their heart. So if you're angry, and I mean angry at the world, that sense of, I need to change the world. That's what this one has too. She had it. And then she said, let me look at it a little bit different. What am I reacting to? And it's often those other sources of visions that come to me that say that somehow I'm bad. It could be on the internet. And now we have people who just come in just to say stuff to us to get us riled up. And we know better. We know as INFJs that people are acting out their own insecurities. When they come to me and say, I'm sorry, you don't look like an INFJ. Why? Because you didn't do things the way that I would. We as INFJs would know, I'm not always the exact same person, am I? So I've been told that I also take on those characteristic traits of other people. This is why I surround myself with beautiful people. I didn't have the experiences that many INFJs do because I was always on the lookout for those hearts that accepted my heart for who I am, and I have been blessed for it. When we're children, we're not always in those families that accept us as who we are. I was blessed. I didn't have many people coming at me saying I was less than. I felt it. I didn't feel less, I felt ignored. I felt like I was distant from certain people in my family because I couldn't quite understand their vibration. It was like too much. I still have some issues with that sometimes. But what I'm here to say for the INFJs is that your heart is so strong and she wants to cry for you. And others would say, don't cry, but the struggle was so real for her. When you use that system to the best of your abilities, you will fly high. There are other systems that can get you even higher. If you are ever interested in the idea of a vibrational shift that you may or may feel, because those are going to be the soul leaders of this world. You come from a place of soul that others do not understand. Typically, this is not everybody. To those of you who are not sure who you are in that system, please understand it would be like putting on a glove. It just fits if you know it. If it's not, it could be you're still in transition to a different state of awareness. Okay? And if you need to know what it's like to come into your own soul as a guide, because that's what we are. Not all of us. We can be the there's many versions of how we guide others. We still guide, even if we are we're the creators, the artists, the rebels. We do the soul work, and we come out and we do that for others. We are the beings of light for so many, and our vibration is so high that we can't find those who are like us. That's the nature of an INFJ. We dim our lights for those who are not there with us. I will get thrown under the bus by other personality types for saying that. They are beautiful in their own expressions. I can go to any group, any soul, and say, here is your beautiful vibration. Please embrace that vibration. But by golly, do not ever try to dim the light of mine. I will not dim your light. Do not dim my light. We're not all here to do the same thing. And as a soul, that's even more so apparent, right? We all have different lives. But when we subscribe to a belief system, within the psychology realm, they have it on good authority that that man who came up with the idea of the functions wants to have a say. And he says, you guys fly high with it. He sees the beauty in it as a guide for it. He rejected Myers-Briggs. People are going to come in and say, Jung did not even embrace Myers-Briggs, but he sees the beauty and the beast within it. Okay? So that's what we're getting to. Let's think about that. How many people are reinforcing the idea of the bad stuff in the INFJ? Please limit our groups to those of us who actually know what it's like to be in that state of awareness, where I know in my heart who I am. I'm the soul of me. I don't need to identify as an INFJ, but if it gives me that strength to get through the shit that I often have to deal with, then by golly, I'm only going to listen to the positive stuff. I already know in my heart about all the shit that I've got to deal with everybody else. Once you get the understanding of the basics of it, then you can start to see the beauty of it. So find those groups that uplift you and take it on and say, does this serve me well? Now, Brenda's heart is hurting because that man says, I don't want everyone going down that path of I've got to do the right thing. The beauty of creation is sometimes we have to go the other way to see, oh, that's what it felt like. I wasn't really one. He sees his own mistakes within his own work based on where we are now. So that's why we're saying, as an INFJ in my heart, oh man, you don't know what that got me through. Seriously, the strength from it got me through what others would consider to be the dark night of the soul. And this is as a person who's, in her 40s, late 40s, going through the changes of life. So for the young one, you hang on to that strength, if that's what you have, and you don't let anyone else tell you how to be. If you need a more tailored version for who you are as a soul, because this is who we are. We're the soul workers of the world. There are plenty of other soul workers. We're not going to deny that. But it's the nature of the vibration is we work with our souls. And we may or may not like that term. Some people a lot of INFJs reject the religion outright. And others embrace it because they see some of the strengths in it, or they've been attuned to the religious upbringing and they can, feel the vibration in that source. But once you hit psychology, you start to question a lot of the religious stuff. And so that's where we are. They can coexist. They don't have to collide. They can kind of cross over each other. There's no, right or wrong when it comes to, the mind and the heart. We combine both. That people will understand. And so let's just enjoy each other for who we are. Wouldn't you love it if people stopped taking pot shots at you? For what? Right? I'm just trying to connect with the few people in the world that actually identify with this. And people come in and say how we're the evil people, and we reinforce that, by the way. There's very few evil people in this world, believe it or not. Now, you all are going to disagree because you have your ideas about what that means. I'm telling you, when you raise your vibration enough as an INFJ, you can overcome that heartbreak of I'm getting hurt by everyone around me. The empaths of the world, we are going to stop being the victims of the Myers-Briggs. People are trying to label us as, the victims. We get labeled as a lot of things. We know how to work with people. So we do come into this world a lot with a lot of stuff. Not everybody that we've had to deal with. So in that idea that I had to deal with stuff, let us set that aside. This is where we heal. We go on that healing journey. And I'm telling you, it's the nature of victimhood that we need to be really letting go of in our hearts. And instead saying, how do I strengthen my heart and my mind against the idea that I'm continually a victim? I'm not going to victimize my friends. Would you put that on them? Oh, there's something wrong with you? We do that sometimes, right? There's something wrong with you. There's not. We see the beauty in who they are as a different type of person, okay? Or that you can look at it in any different way, as a unique individual, ideally, but even in the subset of a system, okay? Because it's very strong in this society, on this plane, the idea of Youngs, are coming through strong. And they're getting very popular. And so I'm going to offer a gift to those who are of that vibration, because she is in that heart. Your own guides would tell you something completely different about your heart. They would say you are loved for who you are. Don't ever look back. We go to the back seat of the bus, right? How many people had to go to the back of the bus? Okay, this is another one of your soldiers, right? Martin Luther King Jr. We are reinforced that we are here to do the changes that others won't do. We're not going to focus on the bad people. Now, why would someone want us to focus on the bad people? Now, if we're going to learn from it, we already know the nature of our hearts, and the minds get conditioned to believe that there is that possibility within their soul, and it is not necessarily the case. So what we want to make sure is that as INFJs, you take on the beauty of who you are. You enjoy, you embody those soul groups that lift us up, not to put us in the place of, I need to be part of this group that is somehow, the destroyers of the world. Well, now let's think about that. Oh boy. So there's another system that Brenda belongs to in her heart and has used as a strengthening tool for her in a very strong vibrational way. It specifically deals with vibrations, and she would totally encourage it for any INFJ out there to go even higher if you want. It may not be your cup of tea, but she would definitely recommend it. The idea of creating a revolution, right? Things have to change. We know how to work with people. We know how to see patterns in society. definitely within the people that we are in contact with. How do we create those circumstances to raise others up? That's the beauty of our vibration, is we know how to lift others up. What we often forget is that it's often at our own expense. We lower ourselves to where they are in order to bring them up. What we have to learn to do is to keep ourselves high and never look back at anybody else. Don't look back into the past. Say, today is my day to plant my seed of strength and beauty and power and soul. I'm of soul, so I know I create with that soul. So I'm going to say, I can see the beauty of the people that were before me. Let's take that man that's still creating his beautiful expression as we speak, even of, the ill health. He still has the beauty of his mind that he's creating with for all of us in his own way. Whether you agree with the man's politics or not makes no difference. He held everyone in his heart. How many people actually are holding everyone in their hearts versus I'm only holding a certain party in my heart? That's the difference. Now, how many people can say they truly hold others in their hearts? We have our own issues. We have the very black and white kind of thinking as INFJs that we can come to. Okay, this is right, this is wrong. I see it, I know it. Right? You start to open up to other ideas. That's the beauty of the system, right? Now you can say, I know that's wrong for me. But once you understand the nature of the system, then you could go, well, that would make sense for that other soul, that other person. But we're going to say soul because we're at that level. And if you don't like that word, you can use person or personality. But she's in the soul vibration. And so as INFJs become more and more accustomed to learning about other souls, they then open up that vibration of understanding that we raise ourselves up by doing so. We come to this place of love for all, right? How many people are like, that's not going to happen? I have too many people in my life that it's a door slam. You naturally did what you needed to do. We do not take that on. People, that is your past. Let's create from the present. How many people feel like that is now a condition of the INFJ? I am now encouraged to door slam people. Why don't you understand that the nature of creation is that as you grow in your heart, you will soon sign that sign. There's a sign. You watch for those signs that tell you it's time to leave. And that's the nature of it. We experience it in a way that others assume we are doing bad. When we've done our best to work within the soul level of another soul, and we can't do it anymore because it is not working for us. It does not mean it is their problem. It's our vibrations are no longer mixing. And people are going to assume, oh, this is, spiritual, woo-woo. Most INFJs are probably going to actually be open to that idea of energy and the, nature of it. And the nature of what it means to be that heart-centered with people who aren't. And some people are all in their brains. They're not all in their brains, but it feels like it. Your own bodies tell you when it's time to go. Your own guide will tell you it's time to go. You're feeling kind of hurt, aren't you? Brenda's already getting the symptoms of a guide who knows her heart was hurting for her because she has to let go of the INFJ mentality as well. You see, you start to lift yourself out of those, identities. But it's something we don't have to let go of anything, because I'm still in the process of putting myself out to the public, and I know that I could have a lot of people coming at me, and so I have to just remember that I'm in that position of love for my heart always. We deal with the battle of self-love for so many years. We struggle to just love our own hearts as much as we love others. I don't know why I can't feel the way these people do. And we surround ourselves with our loved ones, and we're like, why am I not getting what I want in this world? It's because we're creating for everybody else, and yet we're ignoring our own needs. How can I create in this world if I'm constantly focused on everybody else? We want to be with people. We don't want to be with people. Good God, do you know what it's like as a guide to experience that same vibration? She can't help it. I love to be with people. I plan things, and then the day comes and it's like, oh my God, what was I thinking? I'm tired now. I need to go within. I'd rather just lay in bed and read a book. Or do makeup and find the creative outlets for you that pierce through the soul. Because you're going to pierce through the souls of others, and they cannot understand what you're doing. That's what you do with your eyes when you look at somebody. She has so many things in common with this group of people that are so obscure in her mind. I can't help it. I can look into the minds of others. When I look at somebody that I find attractive, I can't do it. It's like, because they will see me as a soul. I will see their souls. And I'm not wanting to take that risk to look into that soul and see anything but love for me. It is like, please God, let that be the one. She got pierced in her heart by the eyes of another soul. It took her a long time to get over that idea that it was his soul. I'm going to tell you what it does for us, because people are meeting their soulmates in the flesh. And we know already what it's like to have the connection within the soul with other people, and yet we hold ourselves back from having that connection with someone else, often because we hold ourselves in. We're so worried that I'm going to blow it. I can't even look at think about this very carefully. I can't look at that person that I'm so interested in. I will give them my soul when I do that. That's how committed you are to your relationships. Not always, but it's like you need to have the validation that you are unique. You need to have the validation that you are special. You need to have the validation that you are correct in your interpretation of light. You are of light. Okay? Others don't understand what that means. They'll assume it's religious or that it's spiritual. It is a condition of vibration. This is where the vibration energy is going to go far for INFJs. You're going to be able to lift your body up to the soul level of a guide and say, I can now guide those around me. When I see a soul who is attractive to me, it's like I think I might just go for it. You have to go for it. You will never regret it. She has done that, and it served her well. Okay, now we're talking to those true, and we want to say true, we don't mean it in that way, but the INFJs who really understand the nature of where we are, maybe they're older and they've had a lot more experience, maybe not. We don't want to deny anyone their love life or their experiences. But that connection with the soul level connection is what you're here looking for. And when you find it, and you will find it often, you can't go away from that heart. So people are getting their hearts broken, and they don't even know why. It's because you think, oh, this is the one for me. That's the one for you at this moment in time. We're experiencing soul connections where others may not be in that vibration of it. We hold ourselves to a higher way of being in this world. And if I can understand what this means for many, you will soon understand the nature of a soul vibration with a guide. You are guided, and you know you are. You get your intuition dropping down, right? Every so often, all the time. It just comes out of nowhere. Pretty soon, that intuition opens up, and we let it out to the world. What are we here to say? And to who? I am of soul. That's who I am. I'm here to guide those who need help. That's who we often are. We're not always like that. But when my own heart went to a soul who had the connection with the eyes, this is as her. She's apologizing, by the way. The internal conversation with your own soul, with your guidance system. You will have that. You have the internal dialogue going on, and we're going to help you how to train that dialogue to serve you well, to get you high. We are running scripts in our minds that need to be changed. Okay? Now, the nature is very interesting when Brenda can't look people in the eyes. She's not going to open up her heart, because to her, that's the window to the soul. People understand that. But she can do it with other people, but if you've been hit in the heart with a guide, it means it's time. She was hit in the heart when she got a notice that she was being rejected by somebody in her mind. They're connected in a way that others will understand. When you know you've been connected for a long time, and then when someone says, I'm not ready yet for your heart, I'm not ready yet for your love, and I'm not ready yet for your vibration, that gets to be a little hard to hold on to, doesn't it? There is a soul here who knows that her heart goes out to a soul who is connected to her, and probably in more ways than one, but they are determined to be on the same plane because they have seen each other in they've seen each other on a different plane, and yet they're both on this plane, and they know that, And that's where many people are going to go, oh my gosh, I know what that is. It's not the same. It's not a twin. It's not just a soul. People are like calling these things, all these ideas. When we create with our souls, we're soul groups and we're coming together. We don't just come together as one or two. We often come together as a group, and we spread ourselves out across the world to see if we can reconnect with our loved ones. Our loved ones are there for us, but yet we're not always in those groups. So his group is different than mine on this plane. Very slightly different. And she's starting to understand he's of a nature of, well, he's one of you. He's one of those, I'm going to change and challenge the world. And Brenda has that desire, but her way of doing it is not in alignment with a lot of the, typical ideas of INFJ at this point, just because she's not ready to leave others behind. And she's not ready to, it would be like her saying, I'm an INFJ and I'm going to, I'm a therapist and I'm going to, help, people, but I'm not going to help half of the personality types. I'm going to just choose to say, no, I'm not going to help you. That's the most beautiful expression. Can you imagine being a therapist? And this is going to ring true for a lot of people. Can you imagine being a therapist? And you hang your sign out and you say, if you are of these 8 personality types, please don't even bother coming into my door. She can't do that. Doctors pledge an oath. They don't choose. But yet, if we're in our own vibration as outside of work, do we honor that, idea of I'm here to serve all? Now, it doesn't mean we serve those who aren't even coming to me, okay? Can I serve everybody? Can I help everybody? Maybe, maybe not. What are you looking for? If you're looking for guidance on your personality type, that's somewhere else. I'm saying as an INFJ, if you're looking to expand your vibration or your understanding, expand your energy as to what you can do with your gifts. And there are many who are going to sit there and say, I already know what I can do. I know what I need to do. But there's more specific information for you. It's not always about, I need to go sit in a therapist chair. Okay? That'll get you a lot of places. But it can also reinforce some ideas that there's something wrong with you. And many people who are INFJs are getting the picture with that. I've been told I'm this, that, whatnot. I'm not fitting in here. I'm not fitting in there. I don't know. This is Brenda. She's like, I cannot fit into really any groups because I sit there, I get in the group and I see problems with the group. And I don't mean it in a bad way. I'm just like, I'm not fitting in. I don't fit in here. I don't fit in here. They're trying to convince me of something over here. They're trying to convince me of something over here. I see through that. I don't agree with that. If it's a beautiful expression of it's for fun, that's something different. But when it comes to my own growth, we are very picky about who we let tell us what we are. Right? How many people are listening to teens with the INFJ vibration? We don't even know who half these people are that are commenting about what is and isn't INFJ. They're starting to, embrace it. And, they've got this energy. So they're ready to do battle, right? No, they're coming to terms with it. Thank God. They've got something to hold on to. That's what it's like for a lot of them. Because until you get to that understanding, these are why all the groups are usually INFJ focused. We take over the conversations when it comes to, self-help. Not always, but when it comes within those, let's think about it. A lot of these, personality type, websites and groups that aren't specific, for, a certain type, or often have the INFJs coming in, with their ideas. And then it becomes, well, I've got to serve the INFJs. They're the ones that are actually listening to me, trying to figure out what the hell's going on, right? I have an opinion about all people. I see it. It's not true. It's not all groups, but there are. She's just noticed that. If there's anyone that's going to take a poll about how many videos are aimed at the INFJs when it comes to personality types, that's the beauty of it. We are here expressing our beauty as we are. And we don't have to be an INFJ in order to do that, obviously, but it gives us a forum that we didn't have access to before. To be seen, but to be within our comfort zones. Often it's behind the screen. We've been conditioned to, feel like our opinions are too out there or too strong, right? Often they're strong. They can come across very arrogant as well. And this one knows that. And we're going to talk about what's the nature of the ego. Save your ego for somebody else, right? So people are going to be like, I don't need your ego. If you want to go through the process of deconditioning your soul on a level that is unheard of, this one did it, and she needed that ego in order to get through it. Some people say you destroy the ego. She's like, don't destroy your ego. You don't need to. This world is not supposed to be a bunch of robots. The ego does get diminished. It does leave at some point. If you are in this vibration of, I'm reuniting with my own soul, I have not let go of my ego completely at this point. I have children. I have identities that I have to hold on to. I'm a mom, and I'm here. This is who I am. I am that soul that identified as INFJ. And that, now I look at it as it's a tool of growth. I don't say I'm only that. I have my own unique characteristics. And my soul comes in very strong. I can be extroverted. I can be introverted. I'm all. You all will get that in your hearts at some point, because you feel it already when you're around other people. You start to lose the idea of who you are. And so you're already preparing your bodies and your minds for the sense of, there's more to me than what I think I am. Right? There's more to me than what I think I am. That's your soul talking to you. So you're always searching for it. Because you know in your hearts that there's more to everything than what we think there is. So we'll continue the discussion. I can go into a trance. You are a natural trance worker for most INFJs. You will automatically take to the idea of going into trance. And that can be a tricky process. Don't ever go by fear. Brenda is so strong in this, it would be hard. We are not going to say any path is any better, because this is a nature of all, but she will don't go by the old stuff, please. You do not have to go by old spiritual teachings or anything that promotes fear in your heart. Let it go. Choose a different path if you can, if it's within your own guidance system, to say, I want to go to a place where I can be uplifted and not have to go through this shit. She went through the dark night of the soul and she didn't know it. It came back and bit her in the butt when she did listen to somebody. She was already in that process of going through that vibrational shift and not experiencing much pain or dislocation or anything within the soul. And then she got nervous because she had some physical energy shifts happening that she was not aware of what that was. But she then was like, I don't know what that is. But she was already connecting with her guidance. She was already channeling what others would consider channeling. We'll go through that. It's not what it seems. The INFJs of this world are going to know how to open up themselves to a whole new level of understanding of what it means to be God in their minds. That's the symbol of God for many. They say, I'm going to be down that path. You are not God in your minds, are you? How many people in INFJs specific are very spiritual but have disconnected from the concept of God? And yet in their minds they feel very comfortable putting that label on their own soul. This is this one. And it's not going to sit well with certain personalities. The idea of what it's part of religion to walk with God. So you don't have to be God. It could be source, creation, whatever, or your own heart. And you're like, I'm here as a soul creating. I don't have to have anything other than who I am to see the beauty of who I am in this world. That was her. She did have this idea of there's something going on out there because I was getting messages outside of who I was in my mind. Okay. So it's going to get a little interesting. And we'll have to kind of adjust. Some of the people are going to say there's symptomatic depression, anxiety that goes along with this personality type. She builds a bridge to those who say, I don't need to label myself as anything but beautiful. Because by me doing what I did, I was able to see the beauty in all. Because how do I know what is high if I haven't experienced the low, right? You'll get a different taste for it at some point. So she is always of the let me lift myself up and I'll look at the world a different way. We have the ability to work with our minds and our hearts. We use our minds too much, right? The loops to spiral. We try to spiral ourselves up, but we forget our hearts. That's how we have to do it. We have to do it with our hearts. Our minds are part of it. This is her own guide telling her. She knew it when she experienced it and when she read it with another guide. I can't leave my heart out of the process. If I leave my heart out of the process, I don't feel like I create what I want. Okay? So we're going to go to that idea of the INFJ creation. The creators within that soul. And it will be different for all. You can take or leave whatever you want. But if you find it helpful, then by all means, let's raise ourselves up to that level of understanding. It's a beautiful expression. We're not going to limit ourselves. She doesn't limit herself to anything. No limits. That's what she would say to the INFJ. No limits. Don't put any limits on your heart, your mind especially, but your heart. Our hearts are good. We have beautiful hearts that have been trampled on in some cases. And so we free them from that limiting belief that we can't raise ourselves up unless others around us are also lifted. No, we go high, very fast because we've been doing it all our life. And now it's time for you to join us in this collective experience of lifting our light. It's our vibration, but it's also light. We lighten the load. So, as I said before, there are topics that are going to be more resonant within the society that I'm a part of. I'm of love. I also am of challenge. And when I say that, you all are going to know that. I will be challenging many people to understand that if this doesn't vibrate in the same way that you feel like you're vibrating, by all means, don't assume that I am the speaker for all INFJs. There are beautiful expressions and beautiful guides out there. My whole life is not about the INFJ mentality or heart, but since I am identified as one with Brenda, because I'm her soul, then I would say I can lift myself out of that identity at some point and experience the realms that are unbelievably high. We already go there in our minds, but our hearts are often left behind. And so we want you to remember that the heart connection with your own soul, it's always there, but it's not often brought in.